السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 13.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you, gentlemen?
Alhamdulillah, very good.
Alhamdulillah.
How was that one?
Yeah, good, alhamdulillah. We're
before-
working on the introductions.
Before the podcast started, I usually say, how are we all? And apparently that sounds weird. So I went to, how are we all? how are you, gentlemen? Which
Yeah, it sounds it's okay.
Gentlemen also, I don't know.
So you're not gentlemen.
No, we are, but
we don't
like,
want
I'm
you
just-
to be gentlemen.
It just doesn't sound like you.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to sound like me in this podcast. That's why I get censored so much.
Yeah.
Hence the change.
Yeah. There's no censoring. It's just
Really?
yeah, we have to make our program
like,
family friendly.
We'll just put this on pause and just bash it for a bit and then come back.
A standard Masjid Carpark podcast goes like this. That's not going on the recording.
Okay. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Quiet week.
Quiet
Alhamdulillah.
Quiet week for me too.
Doing
Quiet
retail
for everyone.
therapy through Amazon.com, buying things.
You as well.
I bought a hand coffee grinder.
Hand
Bro,
coffee
when
grinder.
you stopped at hand, I was,
was like-
expecting you to say bag. I don't know why. I was like, okay.
No, a hand grind, like a manual coffee grinder. I'll be making my own coffee.
Is that to work out?
No, I don't know why I bought it. It's so easy to buy stuff on Amazon.
We get deliveries daily.
It is so ridiculous. Like I was just talking to my son who's in the studio today.
Welcome to my son in this, Malana's son in the studio today.
Yeah, so we were looking for a drill, at Bunnings. The idea of going to Bunnings, walking the long aisles to get to the thing is like so. Yeah, and you can just press and set that will be delivered tomorrow. Amazon Prime. I think in the West there's a huge thing they're building. They're so good at
Western Melbourne.
but they're so good at the prices are good, and the products are good, and it's delivered within 8 hours. Like I ordered something once a few months ago. I ordered that at 8 p.m. and the night, and the next morning was delivered.
See,
It's
I
ridiculous.
like the idea of home delivery because we did, my wife did, Woolworths Click and Collect. You don't even have to get out of your car. You just turn up, you say the name, they open the boot, they chuck everything in the boot. However, I have to disagree with you on one shopping, and that is Bunnings or any camping shop. There does not, the internet cannot create the experience of walking through, looking at different tools.
I hate shopping and looking at stuff.
No, I love it. For me, Bunnings, my Bunnings are like one of my
Camping
favourite
is-
shops. Yeah,
camping
camping
is fun.
shops
That
and
could be
Bunnings shops. They're amazing.
I would agree with you too, Malala. I'm not a big fan of
Window shopping.
Window shopping or just I want to know what I'm getting, get it and get out.
Yeah.
But so if I could go on Amazon, I will.
See, for me, that's for clothes, for everything else, except for when it comes to, as I said, Bunnings and Raise Outdoors or Macpac or something like that.
Yeah.
Because
But
going
you
through-
enjoy that anyway.
Yeah, I
so.
enjoy. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like my son, the newborn, he had his first trip to Bunnings the other day.
Mashallah.
It was a life-changing experience for me and him. We just can't communicate that right now.
Many people don't like Amazon, because the guy became so rich off it. But maybe he's like just good at it. It's like Elon Musk with Tesla cars. He's just good at it.
Do you think it's because of that, or it's because Amazon is such a massive conglomerate now that it's affecting the little shops, there aren't many mum and dad shops left anymore, but other retailers. Oh, okay, so retailers where we
like,
have
he's just
staff
good at
working.
He's just good at it. He beat everybody,
I
But there are
think-
others. There's that Wish and new ones like
Which is not bad
yeah, but they're
for
not.
mattresses. You heard it here, folks.
They're not as efficient as Amazon. Amazon
Which
just
takes a lot.
Yeah,
longer.
they worked out the formula.
very
And-
early
and-
on and
yeah, and
just polished it, and they've got it like Amazon Prime or just little things they've done. They're just too good at it. Like people can say, all right, yeah, we're making this guy uber wealthy, whatever. But for me as a consumer,
His products works.
it's delivered to my house
The
next
next day,
without
mainly the
and
next
free
day.
and free.
What's next? You got Amazon Prime.
If we order right now,
Amazon
it'll be
now.
delivered tomorrow.
You know how crazy.
Amazon now.
Yeah, you
Click
gotta
it and
click
it
it and get it
just
now.
comes through your door and smashes you in the head.
Well, that's what they're saying. Like,
Do not order washing
no,
machines.
what are you talking about? They've actually that's in New York. They're investing money and so forth in drones. You order it,
Wow.
it comes within an hour to your house. Half an hour to an hour, some ridiculous amount. So, because see, the warehouses already have the stock in it.
Instant gratification has just gone. That's instant
It's
gratification.
nuts.
on steroids.
A drone comes and arrives in your house and brings it to your front porch.
Could you
I'd
imagine,
love to see that drone carrying that washing machine.
Could you imagine the amount of people that would be so spoiled by that kind of service?
We're going to get fatter.
Yeah.
I'm already there.
Dude,
I'll order a treadmill.
if that treadmill got instant gratification,
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to think of a. No, I can't.
That's the only thing they
I'll
haven't
get
figured
edited
out.
if I respond to that comment, so I'm not going to say anything.
This is Abdul Wajid is making fun of me because I'm very healthy. You know,
Healthy.
Is that what they say?
In
Fit or healthy?
In some cultures, it means you have a very fit personality.
Fit
and
is what? Skinny is fit. Which one's healthy?
healthy is not skinny.
Yeah, and what's skinny? Fit.
Fit, I don't know.
I don't know. It's an Indian Pakistani thing. They say you are very healthy. You know what they're
Oh,
trying to
that's
say.
fat.
That's fat. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
fat.
I've been called healthy a lot.
You're very healthy, bro.
Yeah, I'm extremely healthy.
You're like the epitome of healthy.
I'm extremely healthy.
Mashallah,
Alhamdulillah.
may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
So some of the complaints of with Amazon or the guy who runs it is getting so wealthy, but he's wealthy because he's successful.
But do you think they're complaining because they're jealous of him, or they're
Yeah,
complaining because
that's a human nature.
They genuinely care. But
Yeah.
my only concern with this type of retail is that our people that are in the retail world, behind a counter, behind a desk,
They're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
Like I mean,
Especially with these drones that are coming in now. Then you get there's going to be no more delivery drivers. No one, dropping the thing at your door.
Well, Uber was talking about making Melbourne the first city where you've got driverless drones for passengers.
As in driverless cars.
No, drones. You just go sit in it and it flies you to your
Yeah,
destination.
I don't think I'll be doing that.
Would you ever
anytime
get in that?
soon. No.
Would you get in that?
In a drone,
Driverless drone.
I'm too healthy for that. I don't know. We'll have to have a look at that. Yeah.
That's
Let a few
just-
thousand people.
That's called
let's-
Uber XL.
We'll try a few thousand
Other healthy people.
other healthy people, just see how they fare.
Oh, mate, I
And-
shouldn't be joking about this. I'm in the same boat.
No, this is a good encouragement for me to lose weight. After this, I'm going to actually a place, a gym.
Okay,
And
alhamdulillah.
not to
I
work
thought
out.
You were about to say like Westgate Bridge or something.
No. Astaghfirullah. No, I'm going to a gym to speak to a brother for some of my students, and my son's here with me as well. Go there. It's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu place,
Oh,
and
mashallah.
it's a Muslim
Mashallah.
brother runs it in the north of Melbourne. So
Where is it?
in Faulkner.
Is that the one next to the Shell?
It's not on the main road. It's on Sydney Road.
Yeah, somebody told me about that the other day.
Yeah. So just go see the brother
They
and just
wanted me to be an instructor.
Some of the students that come here, because we're outside, there's classes going on.
Mm.
So they study Quran classes. They're actually instructors there.
Oh,
So
mashallah.
we have some
Mashallah.
connection. There's an alim friend, and he's got a blue belt. He's up to blue belt with them, and
What's
so
after blue?
I don't know, but blue belt apparently is like a very decent level of proficiency, from what I understand.
It'll take you at least a few years to get to blue belt.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years of.
These people can rip people's arms off.
I mean, you have people in the UFC who are blue belt jiu-jitsu.
I just had this image of this alim just grabbing someone going, "That's not the fatwa," and then just ripping his arms off.
Yeah.
Not you.
We already had classes before, but it's good. It's good to have not just to burn off steam and so forth, but actually to able to control your body and deal with other people, like physically.
What about teaching the guys knitting?
You obviously referring to the Mufti Menk
That's what I'm
incident
talking about.
last week, and knitting is not. Look, the guy was trying to share something for the gram, for Instagram. He meant probably well. It didn't sit well with many brothers.
He got smashed for that.
Yeah, from a lot of podcasts and the community. And I think it was because it was an expression of a bit of the feminine side. And
A bit of the feminine side.
yeah. So I'm trying to be
You're
nice.
being very
So
nice,
I think
mashallah.
it didn't land well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing knitting. I know I've seen alims who knit caps with their own hands, and they give it a hadiyah. They just make it. Older men, like very old alims from Egypt. I was in one mosque, one country. They came for Taraweeh. So he just used to knit caps the whole day. He's reading Quran and just knitting caps. Then he used to give a hadiyah to.
So is he knitting caps to give to brothers?
Yeah. That's all he does. Is
I'm
knits.
talking about Mufti Menk.
No, I think he just because it's something that he learnt in. He said he learned it from his mum, so he's teaching his kids, and it's fine. But we have a problem, and if you see like Gabriel Romani and other people like that who are also very popular on Instagram and social media, they basically took exception to that because they find it problematic when, especially in the environment that we live in. Maybe in Zimbabwe where he lives is different, because he doesn't live in a Western country and he might not be aware of the trends that are going, especially because we are living things. He may be living, he's exposed to different things, and we are.
I have to stop you there and disagree with that, because Mufti Menk is not a Zimbabwean Mufti, and he's not known
but
a Mufti
his
for
immediate
Zimbabwe.
environment might be very different to.
He's a global person.
No, but you're limited by the physical space that you live in. You're living in.
That's fine.
You have servants.
But if you're on Instagram, if you're on all of these things, it is your responsibility.
But your reality,
what's going
your
on in the
daily
world.
reality, when you wake up in the morning, when you look out, the air that you breathe,
Perhaps the knitting
the air that you breathe is Zimbabwean. You look out the window, Zimbabwean. Your cleaners in your house are Zimbabwean, and etc. I mean, because it's Zimbabwe, there's Indian in Zimbabwe.
If you live in a country where you've got cleaners, where you've got all of these people doing something, knitting will not be your go-to. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but I look.
But there was a video of him. His son went hunting with his. Oh no, shooting with his son. So he's not totally. But I think what the issue is, there is a narrative in the West
that men have to become like.
I recommend to people to go watch the Mad Mamluks podcast a few days ago with Gabriel Romani.
Maybe we can.
And he's the most vocal one that came against that. And he explains himself. It's a really nice podcast, about 2 hours long, worth to listen.
It is worth to listen.
But it's really about men and how they've been emasculated, especially in Western societies.
That's correct.
Under the heading of toxic masculinity and so forth, and where they've basically emasculated men and boys, and then that brings a lot of other problems. Like, men who are able to, they're not taught how to be a hakim, the man of the house, the ruler of the house, which in Sharia is a man is actually the ruler of his kingdom in the house. And, where whoever else in the house, wife and kids, are subservient to the husband or the man of the house.
No, I think that's flipped on its head at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So he took exception, not because of like the person as a personality. He said, no, I respect him and he does good work and his messages are positive and so forth. But on this issue, he got it wrong, because
I find that
he fit in with the current narrative that has been pushed down the Muslims. Muslims have been pressured, and it's part of a broader agenda of feminism, which is anti-Islamic, broader agenda of LGBT, so forth, agenda that is being pushed in Muslim countries at the moment, like Nigeria. If you have a look at the news, an LGBT agenda has been pushed, like, to the point of aid money will be withheld from you. Is
that right?
Yeah. Have a look. Yeah. Have a look. The current administration, what it's doing. So it's actually like, we will punish you financially and whatever if you don't comply. So there's a force. So in that process, who's the biggest victim? Is boys. Boys, they will be emasculated. Their natural tendency for leadership, competition, these will all be limited. So, but what we need to do is, like, he said a nice statement, Brother Gabriel, he said a very nice thing. He said, the problem with like toxic masculinity, like when you say toxic masculinity Islamically, like, we don't need to go down the road of like the anti-women movements, like Red Pill and all that. We don't need to go down the effeminate women, where men are not men in the Islamic, how Islam defines what a man should be.
Yeah.
So we don't need to go through this extreme. Islam actually teaches how. There's no guesswork. What's a man's role? What's a woman's role? He's all spelled out. We want to corrupt that or change it. That's a different story. But it's actually, the roles are spelled out. So those things that will aid in establishing the man's role as a man.
The fact that you just said that the roles are spelled out. You know how many detractors you'll have, how many people you'll have arguing with you. And this is where my concern is, that today from the pulpits or from, you know, the sheikhs or imams or whatever, everybody is trying to toe this line. And there's very few people that are actually going, hang on a minute, let's take a step back and look at what the real situation is and work from there. And this is my concern. So when I'm talking about, you know, we're having a laugh about the knitting, but where I'm coming from with that is, okay, you are such, I mean, I don't know how many followers he's got or whatever. You're such a...
millions.
Well, there you go. You're such a famous personality and people do hang on your every word. Is that really what we want to be portraying right now in this time and age with the world in chaos?
Do you also think there's like, I don't know, there's a bit of an over-exaggeration at how much they've focused on him just knitting? Because like, I watched that video and it didn't appear to be where he was sort of promoting it. It was just like something that he was doing. And I know because he's got such a large following that can be seen as a thing that, oh, that's what you should be doing. But
whatever you do counts, has an impact when you've got such a large following.
Yeah, but what if all you're trying to do is just say, hey, you know, I'm just here knitting, you know, but there's no other message behind it. You know, it wasn't like Mufti Menk was actually saying, you know, boys should be knitting.
No, but if you're in a public, he might not have judged. Sometimes people, when they go so high up in their like fame and so forth, they do become detached from the average Joe.
Yeah,
you know?
do a bit,
So there maybe that aspect as well. Plus, depending on the country that you're in and like that's receiving the message. So we're in the Anglosphere, right? English-speaking countries like Australia, Canada, US, UK, Ireland, etc., etc. So we have our local setups and our local way we filter international personalities and their statements. So his statement, based on as a Melburnian in Australia, growing up in a diverse community of Turks, Albanians, Lebanese, we have a very a blue collar background. All of the subcontinent community that also arrived recently, they're more of IT and professional background. We've got a lot of doctors from the subcontinent, but generally it's a very blue collar first generation, and second generation might be trades, or there might be whatever. So with the way we'll look at it, when we say, those critics of it, we understand actually what the critics say. Where we have a general community that people go fishing, they go camping. Australians are very outdoorsy, so that looks kind of, for a bloke in Australia, Muslim or otherwise, that looks that's not really like a thing. I think maybe he was talking to women. I don't know, but
look, I'm trying to choose my words very carefully here. Let's not talk about Mufti Menk here, just in general.
Yeah.
If a person is talking over and over again, and they're very popular, very famous, whatever word term you want to use, then they do need to be careful of what they're saying.
100%.
Now, if one person is constantly talking about, okay, women's rights, and I'm not against women's rights, but how many of the rights of men are not being fulfilled in the name of fulfilling women's rights or focusing on women's rights, where you've got your average bloke that's just trying to get along, and which is most of the population, Muslim and non-Muslim, just trying to live his life, pay the bills, have a happy family, and he's getting smashed. How many people do you know like that? Oh, you're not fulfilling marriage, you're not doing this. We don't want to turn this into a whinging session.
Yeah.
However, I think
I get what you mean. There's a space.
There's a space where people that are in the public eye need to say, okay, you know what? We need to get some sort of balance. We need to understand this is going on. However, the flip side is also this.
I'm in a khatib group. It's an international khatib group, mainly from the UK ulama. Because it's International Women's Day. Yeah. So the khutbas are like they suggested khutbas are about, and I was just stirring, like I said, maybe we should give one khutbah on the responsibilities and duties of a wife on being obedient to a husband, and like I just want to.
You know what? The fact that both of us just went, shows
no, it's kind of a weird topic to be.
But do you understand what I'm coming from?
Because most of the masjid you're talking to men, and I've never heard a khutbah until now. I've never heard, and I doubt anybody has heard a khutbah on the. And this is a side topic because we're talking about the context of that Mad Mamluk's podcast where they talked about the toxic masculinity and so forth. Part of the problem is that we're maybe trying to appease one side at the cost of, and there are some programs that have been done. There are like some psycho men out there. And who do zulm and so forth.
I'm not sticking up for the psycho men.
But this is like an extreme minority.
That's correct.
And generally, the people in come in the masjid, generally, like 99.9%, they don't have that issue. So why is it that that's been projected at such a big
Onto
issue?
them. That's
And
right.
then-
And then you've got the ladies in the ladies area. Go home. The poor guy cops it when he's just like, "But I just did the dishes and made the bed and put the washing out before I went for Jummah."
Yeah.
It could-
So what Romani said, that I like what he said. He said the solution to toxic masculinity and this type of extreme bad behavior and zulm and oppression from men is not to emasculate men. The solution to that is to make them qawwam, make them men that takes responsibility, make them men, like actually let them assert their masculinity and think for whether it be physically or in their roles, their traditional roles.
Yeah.
Build that up. Like actually is to build that up, not to tear it down.
It'd be interesting to ask ladies, actually. I have no idea, so I'm not going to speak for them. Do they prefer an emasculated man in the modern term, or do they like a man?
There's another puzzle to this that I think that we're overlooking. You know, if you're Mufti Menk, right, you're going to, I don't know,
Go
let's
to
just say,
Jannah because you're so pious.
mashallah,
Inshallah.
you're going to talk about what people ask you. And if you look at his following, it's majority females. You know, it's majority Muslim women. And so they're the ones that are asking the questions, right? And his questions are related to what people ask him.
Yeah,
so,
but even
so is it an issue of you know, us not being there and asking those questions, whereas predominantly women are asking those questions that are related to
let
them?
the women
and that's why.
ask these questions,
Yeah,
but at the same time, in a public space, okay, so you've asked this question. This is the answer to your question. However, there's also this side of the coin as well. Because the question that's asked generally will be loaded questions. Because there's a certain type of response they want, or not talking about women, but anyone.
yeah, yeah.
You ask a question, there's a certain type of response you want, so that you can go and use that. As, look, this is what it is. This comes from an alim. That's different to going, okay, listen, I got a problem here. What does Sharia say about this? However, this is the flip side as well. So there's two sides to the story. I'm giving you both sides. Now you tell me what the Sharia says. Not just I'm giving you my side, so that way I'll get a response that you want.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not taking sides or anything. I'm just trying to think
him as well. But
like
my
where
thing
his mindset is at. Like why he would be so pro. I don't know the right word. Pro feminine. I don't know.
I don't
there's
think
nothing wrong with being very pro-feminine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. But
love chicks, man. No problem with that.
All his questions, no, his questions, all his videos and answers to like Instagram and YouTube, it's predominantly women related. It's related to the.
Look, the answer to that can be very potentially loaded, or let's not talk about Mufti Menk. However, even for example, we're doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Right. When we do this podcast, we're not doing it so that 15-year-olds can listen.
Yeah, yeah.
They can if they want.
Yeah.
we're sitting here, you know, grown men having a chat. So who's going to listen to grown men having a chat?
Yeah, other grown men,
right?
of course.
So if I want 15-year-olds to listen, obviously I'm going to change it. So the same way maybe his target market is spreading deen within women. That's well and good.
You know, the strange thing is, because of International Women's Day, but
Is there an International Men's Day?
No.
The other 364.
Oh, come on.
We got three.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's a joke. It's a joke. Relax,
I know
guys.
it's a joke, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But those khutbah khatibs that were doing that thing, and Romani said that in his podcast. Like people want to, like they gave examples in the khatib group. They gave example of like great women in history, Islamic history,
Which is fantastic, mashallah. We should all know it.
Yeah, but they're no comparison to the men of this ummah who've done most of the work. That's what he said. He goes, most of the work, jihad,
Yeah.
if you look at all jihad, 99.99% is done by the men.
Yeah.
If you look at all intellectual work, 99.99% is done by the men. Yeah, we got like some greats. Like out of hundreds of thousands, there's like 5, you know? So you can't, like your gender, and this is the issue, it's coming into Islam as well, which is people are being selected based on gender, not for their merit, because there's someone actually is more qualified. And that's something we as Muslims have to
be very careful of.
Very careful.
Yeah.
Islam encourages competition. Sahaba radiallahu anhum used to race. Sahaba radiallahu anhum, like competition to win prizes. They used to have horse races, or Rasul gave prizes.
Let the job go to the best person qualified.
Yeah,
for it.
and if you don't give it to the best person, and there's a hadith when a honor or a position is not given to the person who's fit for it, like there's actually it's given to the non-fit person, given to someone who's more qualified, but you give it to a person because on any other reason than the actual job that is done, then wait for the day of judgment. It's an amazing hadith.
Is that right?
Yeah, because if you give a responsibility to a person who's not fit for it, then wait for the day of judgment.
Well, what does that mean? Wait for the day of judgment.
Meaning that
it's close?
yeah, Qiyamah is close. This is a sign of Qiyamah. When people
So
are
Trump was
like
a
you'll
sign
see,
of Qiyamah.
huh?
Trump was a sign of Qiyamah.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but that's American politics, you know. Yeah, possibly. But the thing is that, and it was probably good for us. He wasn't qualified. He didn't do any wars against. He's probably
Yeah,
too
that's
dumb
true.
to do wars.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good if they're not qualified.
Mate,
but for
Allah
us,
give him hidayah.
the person who's most qualified. If the person who's more qualified is with certain limitations, like she can't be imam, for example. No, there is a Islamic limitation
Yeah.
on that. Then, other than that, for men, that is. But other than that, you have to acknowledge, like it's not that. See,
Well,
you have
so
to look. You have to look at the whole of history, 1400 years of Islamic history. Did women excel in Islamic sciences, as an example?
I don't know.
Or science in general.
I
Yes,
don't
they
know.
did.
No idea.
Yes, they did.
MashaAllah.
But there's so few of them, and it wasn't because they're not allowed.
Or is it, could it
It's
be
just
they
there
didn't
was
get
so
the
many.
opportunity?
There was no, but it was because it was no. It was
I'm going
not.
to play devil's advocate here.
It's not true.
They didn't have the opportunity because they were being subjugated by the men and they were at
No,
home
that's not
looking
true.
after the kids.
That's
and-
not true.
Subjugated by
Yeah, that's not true.
No, but that is the line that's thrown today.
Yeah.
I'm not being a male
But
chauvinist.
you can't say that.
Anyone
It's-
that knows me knows I'm not a male chauvinist.
The-
However, at the same time,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I feel very strongly about this. These are the arguments we get. So I'm asking you now, Malana.
Yeah.
Is that the reason that because they never had the opportunity? They were
no,
too
no.
busy
They're just
looking after
more
the
men.
house?
They're more qualified and better at it.
Because they were taught from a younger age and women were taught something
Have a
else?
look today when it comes to engineering and when it comes to IT.
I think this is more of a general
All
thing.
no barriers are there, and the men still do it better.
But that's because of the glass ceiling. But do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I understand what you're
Every single thing
saying.
that you say, there will be a response to it.
Bro, even if you look at just general society, talking outside of Islam, it's the same thing. The men
For
excelled.
sure, we're going to have comments on this podcast this week.
But it's you can look at history itself. I mean, if you go back, let's just say 60 years, and think about who was involved in science, who was involved in mathematics, just general advancement of the world. It was men.
But is that because, and this is a serious question, is that because women didn't have the opportunity?
No.
Women didn't get the vote till the 70s or whatever it was.
Yeah, because they finally decided, yeah, all right, we won it. So they were a bit slow at getting it. The men were just ahead.
The way I see it,
I see that one. Now you're making me
No,
take
they're
the flip
slow.
side.
They
Now
were
you're
not.
making
They
me
were
take
not
the other
good.
position.
They were not good at
It's
getting the
not that they were slow,
opportunities.
but is
My-
that
mine was
because
just pulling
they-
your leg.
Is that
He's-
because they didn't have the opportunity?
No, they didn't take the opportunity. They didn't take the opportunities.
How could they take the opportunity? How are you going to take the opportunity to vote when you're not allowed to vote? That was the whole point of the women's suffrage
It
movement.
was just the men were better at subjugation.
You know he's joking.
So by your argument,
We're even better at subjugation.
by your argument, whatever's happening now
but he's not
is just payback.
He's not being serious though. Like, in all honesty, the reason why that happened, it's because during that time, the world was different. If you think about this, right? Real topic. I mean, real conversation now. Women, right? 60 years ago, didn't have the freedoms that they do now. Not because of they can vote and go to work and all that kind of stuff, but once a month they get this thing that happens to them. Without that invention, how can they leave their homes, right? Because they never know when this thing's gonna happen to them. And then there's also rearing children and whatnot. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of elements that allowed women to be in the places that they are today,
See,
other than just being able to vote.
To build on your point, could it be that back in the day, technology wasn't there, we didn't have the Industrial Revolution, so men would had to work like dogs in the field,
Yeah.
and women had to look after the house.
Yes,
Now we've
there
got
was-
washing machines,
exactly.
we've got dishwashers,
Even despite that,
we've got
and-
electric vacuums.
And even despite that, the man is the head of the house, the rule of the house, the king of the house. He is the king of the castle. people might not want to hear that, but the Quran and the Sunnah and
Today, people do not want to hear that.
they don't want to hear,
Men
but
and women.
it's deen,
Men
and
and
they have to
women do
deal
not
with
wanna
it,
hear that.
and they have to deal with that because it is part of Islam.
But
We'll have to put
isn't the
we
role-
have to put the whole Islamic social structure, and that's why things are upside down, because men cannot be allowed to be men. That the traditional role is not allowed to be
So
fulfilled.
we've just gone full circle. So that's my point. Isn't it the role of the Western ulama that are in the public eye to bring this to the fore?
To teach people about, I mean, we've lost so
To
much.
teach people about
We've
what
lost,
the reality is,
especially in the West,
terms of
in
Sharia.
the second generation, we struggle. And I wanted to mention something before as well, like regarding, specifically to do with, it's an amazing book. It's about it's called Furusiyya al-Muhammadiyya by Ibn Qayyim. I was reading it this week, or parts of it, about Islamic chivalry, right? And
So
in
this
that,
is for men.
and he says at the beginning that man has to be rough and tough, and so he doesn't become effeminate. He says that. People are not going to like to hear that.
No one's going to like it. You just.
No, but I'm saying that's a translation of the book. And then he
But,
said,
but you know what you'll get for that? I am going to, like, as you go, what you'll get for that, that's a 700-year-old book you're living in the past.
yeah, and Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was even living 700 years before that. So what are we supposed to live like? So that's the thing. Like men can help out. Men can help out, like in the house duties and child rearing, whatever. But there's no such thing as role reversal. That's
Yeah.
not allowed.
Yeah.
And if you try to do that, you'll turn the social order upside down. People can say, "Oh, it works for me," whatever. Yeah, we're not talking about the one outlier or whatever. Maybe as accepted. We're talking about general, because the Sharia rules are to be applied across society when it comes to social structure and social dynamics. It's something that may not be palatable to some people because
I have never heard somebody that's from a scholarly background, Islamic scholarly background, say what you're saying, except for Mufti Tariq Masood.
from Pakistan.
Yes.
Yeah. No, there's no role reversal. It's like Rasulullah defined the roles even for his daughter and his son-in-law, Ali radiallahu anhu, the best couple, the father.
What do you mean he defined the roles?
She does the housework and he does the work outside.
He actually said that.
Yeah, and then you read it, what she did, what she was doing, how much work she was doing inside. I mean, I think we're sort of drifting away a little bit.
Yeah, we
I
are.
think the actual underlying thing was that if a man is the rule of the house and he is the head of the house and he is the one, the decision maker of the house, and then you get someone who's never been trained or ready for that responsibility, he's not been trained. If you work in a big accounting firm, for example, they will never put you into the next role. Like if they're going to give you a promotion, they will train you and guide you and mentor you and tutor you in that new role before they place you. So you think at that level. Yeah. Unfortunately, and I think the topic is a good topic to bring up when these brothers and all these other podcasts, ulama, they brought up the emasculation of the feminist movement, the LGBT movement, is emasculating Muslim boys. And
all boys?
And, all boys, but for us, the Muslim, our kids, our sons, to not be the men that they were supposed to be. As they were trained before, like Sahabiyat, how they trained their sons to be men.
SubhanAllah.
That is not the tarbiyah that is given. Actually, it's reverse. It's the schooling system and so forth. And I think it's a worthwhile read. Jordan Peterson and his stuff about equality of outcome. I think you've seen all those debates and so forth. But he's right. Like you can't. And he said something studies have shown in Scandinavian countries. When total freedom is given, the roles of men and women, they'll fall, because 80 or 90% of the engineering jobs is taken by men.
Yeah.
And studies and courses. And 90% of the nurses are female because they go for that care and type of roles. He goes, these are instinctive things. And he goes, you can be in that, but you'll have to. It's not right because the men that work 60 hours a week, or they are like, especially the ultra competitive, because I advise women who want to be like CEOs of companies, you'll have to become like this because it's cutthroat. Like it's not about man or woman. It's about if you want to do this thing, you'll have to become like this. But then there's a price to pay for it.
And you've got to sacrifice a lot, like
exactly
family or children.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's I think it is the good thing and the beautiful thing is that we have Islam. It defines what a man should be. It defines what a woman should be. It defines their different characteristics, the complementary characteristics, and also out of the two, one is a leader of the other. The man is the leader. The man is the imam in the masjid. The man is he leads the salat. He leads the house. He leads the country as well. as is based on hadith.
Can we lend an olive branch?
Jacinta Ardern's doing not a bad job in New Zealand though.
Who?
Jacinta.
Jacinta.
She's doing a good job in New Zealand.
You can. She's your Khalifa, so you go. You can go with your hijrah there. Let's see. The jury's still out on that. But
Is there an olive branch?
you just want to get a hug from
where
her.
we can say that
Stop it all.
Yeah.
where we can say that, you know, those, let's just say, what I don't know if this is true or not, Maulana, so maybe you can you know, correct me on that. And someone always used to say to me that in Islam we do have the roles of where the man is the leader of the house, but when that man is growing up, when he's a child, you know, the person that has the authority over him is his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's kind of like a, I don't know.
Well, so it's up to his mum.
Well, where's the dad?
Develop him into a man.
He's the head of the house. He's still
They live in Australia.
No, but the dad's the head of the house. I don't mean the head of the house. I mean like
obviously
The first school of the child is the lap of the mother.
yeah.
And
I guess what I'm trying to get at, it's like there's some sort of equilibrium there where yes, as a man you're the head of the house, but you start off by, you know, sitting at the lap of a woman, which is your mum.
yeah.
And then your wife.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's yeah.
Sitting at the feet, waiting for an order. Yes, my queen.
MashaAllah.
Speaking of International Women's Day, did you see Burger King's Hungry Jack's
Yes.
tweet?
Stuff up.
Women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah, but they were trying to get more people, more women to apply for Hungry X. Was that a stuff up or was that a really smart marketing?
It's a very
I
smart
think it was
marketing.
very
They
smart
cannot
marketing.
be that.
Yeah.
You can't be, right?
Like you know about women's like not being in the kitchen in the sense of like as chefs, as head chefs. There are very few head chef women. So the tweet was from Burger King or
Burger King.
Hungry Jack's in Australia. Why is it different?
I have no idea. Probably
Yeah,
No idea.
somebody
companies.
probably copyrighted the name in Australia or something. But anyway, apparently Hungry Jack's works better in Australia. Go to the basic level of emotion of hunger. But anyway, they tweeted, "Women belong." What is it? Women belong in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the timing of
Yeah.
the tweet.
Like
Yeah.
seriously,
No, that was a.
Yeah.
any publicity is good publicity.
That's not
I
such a big
suppose.
deal. You see, Papa John, his tweet
Papa John, no, I haven't seen his.
is because he got the former CEO. He got sacked. He's a white guy because he used the N word, right?
Which is
And-
fair.
What?
No, if to get sacked, not to use the N word.
I was gonna say.
bro.
Yeah.
What you
And so he got sacked, but he said it's taken me 18 months of practice this is out of my vocabulary now.
Yeah. it's
why
just
was it
like-
in your vocabulary in the first place?
Why is it part of a white guy's? Maybe
Not
you
even
just
just that. How does it take you 18 months?
to not use a word.
He must have said it that many times, and it's like,
And it just slips. It's
yeah,
just natural.
it's just so normal for him to say it that it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
So 18 months of tarbiyah, he's made tawbah, and he's left this. What a strange. He's actually more of a. He's all right. You've learned how to not to say it, but do you still believe? And as a white
But, okay,
person,
even if that's the case and you've learned how not to say it, and it's taken you 18 months, why are you tweeting that?
because trying to probably get his old job back or trying to establish himself as CEO because his CEOs go between companies. So obviously shows that he's woke now.
his work is with
Yeah.
the times.
Yeah, he probably wants to if you're a CEO of a big franchise, you're a big shot. You're making big bucks. So if that comes to a standstill, but
But I don't know if that's the best way to get your old job back or get another job.
he's probably got people like these things are not nowadays. These things are not just these are calculated and
Yeah,
Yeah.
PR
PR people.
companies.
Yeah, exactly. So, but anyway,
I have no idea. But that Burger King one, what a smart marketing ploy, because that went viral, went throughout the world.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
they
it was on
And the fact that they
BBC.
deleted the tweet was another that just kept it
and said
going.
they apologized and said, but it was a very they had it already. It was all lined up.
Yeah.
It's smart. That's what you have to do these days to become. You'll have to,
I think there's a name for it. Is it called guerrilla marketing?
Ambush marketing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very smart roundabout way of make yourself relevant to the. You put your brand name as a part of the community discourse. Very smart.
Mm.
Yeah, negative or positive, it does have an effect.
Yeah.
Hey, we haven't spoken about Andrews.
He's got a cracked vertebrae. He slipped on some slippery steps, wet steps in his holiday house.
Yeah, he's going into surgery, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So well, they're deciding whether he goes into surgery or not.
Yeah, that's
so he'll
full
be
on.
out for a few weeks, at least 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
What do you say? The man's done a lot for Victoria, or depending on who you speak to, hasn't done much for Victoria at all.
Yeah.
All he's done is put us through pain with his
It's
pandemic.
about, what did they say about, the pandemic? It's to control. It's a part of a great conspiracy. He's an agent of Dajjal.
He's an agent of Dajjal.
It just goes on and on and on. But
have you heard
Mufti Ibrahim Desai in South Africa, one of the most senior muftis there, and some of our brothers who studied under him, Mufti course, and he released quite a few video or audios this week, which are doing the rounds on WhatsApp and so forth. But very nicely, he said, look, there is conspiracy. There can be a conspiracy. But
he's not saying there is a conspiracy to COVID, though.
He's saying, no, anything's possible. Anything is possible from the enemies of deen and so forth. So Allah mentioned in the Quran, because they'll move mountains. That's one of the quotes, ayat al-Quran. Like kafir, like in conspiring against haqq, will even move mountains. But despite that, the ulama are given tasks with the job of, they can't just wait, right?
Yeah.
Because
to make sure whether it's a conspiracy or not.
they can check it, but they have to go by the information, the best possible information they have at the moment, check with as many reliable sources as possible, and come to a conclusion and give a fatwa on the ruling of this is permissible or not permissible, right?
With the information at hand, not with what may occur.
The possibility of a conspiracy, because we're not talking about actually a conspiracy or something's actually happened. It's the possibility of a conspiracy. The possibility of conspiracy is there.
Yeah.
But as the ulama, their responsibility is what? To make sure so he put Sharia versus conspiracies. So he gave a few examples. The conspiracy from the Quran, he says, is Khidr alayhi salam is traveling with Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam is the beholder of Sharia, the prophet of the time. And the hukm of, what did Khidr alayhi salam do? He sunk the boats because the king was going to come and going to take everybody. So he sunk the boats. But Khidr alayhi salam has ilm ladunni. He's getting divine inspiration. It's mentioned in that surah Kahf. So he's getting some information that Musa alayhi salam does not have. In the case of conspiracies, no one has information. It's just your own conjecture. You are just sort of trying to connect dots, and good luck with that. Like, it's possible you might be connect dots and so forth, but the ulama have to do their job.
Yeah.
And to attack them based on conspiracy is incorrect. That was one example he gave. He gave another example from a fiqh point of view, a scenario that a great Imam of the past, Ibn Nujaym, he gave a very nice scenario where, imagine if you're out at sea, no land, you can't see land, you can't swim, you're on a boat. The boat becomes on fire, right? Now you have to make a decision. Either you get burnt alive or take the chance of possibly saving yourself, but most likely you drown, possibly jump, because what's the two options? Either you die burning or you drown in sea. So what's your options now?
You go with the one that gives you a chance.
It gives you the chance. Most likely is. So those odds have to be weighed up. So the fuqaha have said, they've created all these scenarios and fiqh books to explain the Sharia to us in simple ways so we understand. Here the situation, that there's a possibility death may occur.
Yeah, because
This is the doctors, experts, Muslim, otherwise immunologists and so forth. They've gone through this and they've gone through the science of it, and at the end of it, they say, well, this disease is risky. It's not exactly like the flu, and there's variants of it, and the best chance that we have is to get herd immunity and so forth, is to make as much of the population like as a circuit breaker, is to give vaccine. And fiqh, we explained this last week, it's not wajib, it's permissible to take a vaccine, but you're putting up a conspiracy that you have no facts on. Like, you have nothing. You just, in your mind, you said, no, I don't like them being controlling us, I don't like them, this is something from Dajjal. Well, where's your proof that it's from Dajjal? You know? So you have to bring some people forward. You're skeptical, and it's good to be skeptical. Healthy skepticism is a good thing, but you're skeptical, you're doubtful of the authorities, of the powers that be, the experts, ulama even, and so forth. All right, where you're getting your sources from.
But we're not saying the ulama are experts in the disease.
But the ulama have consulted doctors and so forth, and that's the thing. That's your best bet, right?
It's like jumping into the sea.
It's jumping to say it's possible you will,
find a little piece of wood or
It's possible.
A
Yeah, there's a
dolphin comes
possibility.
out
Or
of
you
the
might
water
drown.
and
Most
saves you.
likely you'll drown. But that's a better option than staying and being burnt alive.
Okay.
So that's the catch-22. So there is, because I'm not denying the possibility of a conspiracy, but this is the options that we got, and the ulama have to. So on one side is Sharia. Musa alayhi salam is dealing with the Sharia. Khidr alayhi salam has knowledge of a conspiracy, so therefore he acts on that, but he has knowledge of it. Your one is just conjecture, and if you're conjecture, like you're just guessing, and that is not a basis of Sharia. Like it's guess. You have to be at least some level of expertise has been brought into the decision making of the ulama, and very senior ulama who looked at it from all angles and looked at it. They didn't take the government statement as hook, line, and sinker and just went off with like that. No, they studied it on a system that they do every day for decades. They've been doing this for decades. Mufti Ibrahim Desai from askimam.com, his fatwa website has been from the mid-90s. It's one of the early websites that we've been using. Like that was one of the websites, masood.co.uk. This is the early website when I used to read. Like there was nothing much on the internet. Islamic was like authoritative. So it's like 25 years of he's been doing this and training hundreds and hundreds of muftis. So now in this thing, he's applying the same set standards that he applies to halal food, halal everything,
Yeah.
The same system he's following. It's not just like, oh, this issue is singled out. No, it's put through the same framework. And at the end, the conclusion is this. And
Take the vaccine.
Take the vaccine. This is the best bet. This is the best solution that we have at the moment, fiqh, Islamic wise. Allahu a'lam. Anyway, that's there's more serious issues probably than that, and they're tied in some countries where against Muslims and Islam. If you see, I think Switzerland, there was a law passed, referendum was
It's
done.
so alright. It doesn't even make sense. Like ban the niqab,
There's only 30
Meanwhile-
women in
meanwhile
the
everyone's walking
there's only-
around.
where the whole world's walking around in masks.
Yeah.
They're all wearing niqab, but the 30 women that wear niqab in the country, and there was an imam that came out in support of women's rights apparently,
An imam?
against niqab.
No.
Yeah.
No.
This is my point.
Oh no,
Thank you
this is
very-
all world over. There's a mufti from Chechnya, and he comes on TV, and these ladies, it's all set up. These ladies, he brought them on, and they're wearing niqab and takes niqab off
Inna
them.
lillahi wa
Yeah,
inna
this is
ilaihi raji'un.
this nonsensical sort of. Where do you get that from?
Yeah.
You got a lot of answers to give on a day of judgment, But
But my understanding is when it comes to niqab, there's differences of opinion.
only the Hanafi school has got some leeway on it, in the sense of it's the most softest on the issue that it's not. If it doesn't cause fitna, then it's not wajib. We're not talking about skinny jeans and thing, like today taken to the other extreme. Like people are supposedly wearing hijab, but they're not wearing hijab. Niqab is there, it's wajib. Whether we do it or not, like the beard is wajib, but whether people do it or not, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So, but there are fuqaha look at certain circumstances of Muslim, certain situation, if their life is in danger and so forth. But it's something that the wives of the Prophet ﷺ did. It is part of Sharia, it's part of the deen. Even I think we're studying Sirah, one of our teachers, Fiqh Sirah of Shaykh Ramadan Bhuti from Sirah, Allah yarhamu. So he said that the Sahabi said, because the people said the ayat of hijab, niqab and hijab is actually the same thing.
Yeah.
We've sort of made a differentiation. But if you see the ayat, he said, when the Prophet ﷺ's wife was left behind in expedition, and the Sahabi that found her, and he said, I recognize her because I saw her face before the hukm of hijab, the ayat of hijab.
Oh, subhanAllah.
Because I recognize her face, because as soon as I said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, because the wife of Rasulullah got left behind. Because she went out of her covering of the box. I mean, even that tells you she's inside this box that she sits in.
But then the argument for that is because this was a wife of Prophet ﷺ, that's why she was doing it.
And who else is supposed to follow?
No, but that the order was specifically for the wife
That's
of
not right.
Prophet ﷺ.
No.
I've heard that.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, but that's not correct. Who said that? And where did they get that from?
I don't know, bro. I'm just telling you what I've heard.
Yeah. So have a look at just... we've changed so much in the last 100 years, and we got to be forgiving of people and whatever deen people practice, alhamdulillah. But when we talk about a hukm or something, then we have to be careful what we say, because we're talking the deen of Allah. Many things I don't do, many things you don't do, but we can't make halal our wrongs.
Yeah.
And we cannot make haram what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained. Our weaknesses are our weaknesses. Yep. But if you Google Bosnia niqab,
No, I don't want to
or Sarajevo
No,
niqab 1930s, you'll be surprised at how women in the Muslim world dressed 90 years ago, 80 years ago. Sarajevo's in Europe.
Until they got freedom from the men.
Yeah, and until Islam was being forced out of them through the communists in Yugoslavia. So the thing is that if you look at those pictures, you'll be actually shocked that, okay, this is how Muslims were, and we've changed throughout all over the world in a Muslim world. One thing about the Switzerland ban, if they wear masks, then they still wearing niqab. It doesn't really affect anything.
Yeah.
And even their ban on minarets, I mean,
minarets.
Minarets.
So in Switzerland, Switzerland or Sweden?
It was Switzerland.
So there's a ban on minarets.
Yeah. So they don't want Islamic-looking buildings. What's an Islamic-looking building? The Prophet ﷺ's mosque have a minaret. As far as I know, no, it didn't even have a mihrab. So what's the point of a minaret? You can see the masjid. I mean, one of my daily experience in driving is the Western Ring Road.
Oh, that big one.
The Turkish
Turkish one.
It's like my highlight of my day. I just love seeing the masjid.
Mashallah.
There's two masjids, two minarets. You see the Syrian one, and then you see the
Deer Park one.
Deer Park one. They're all in Deer Park. They're like literally like you see them together, two minarets of these two masjids. But minarets were there for the muazzin. We do azans in the Western countries inside anyway. Minarets are there to identify the masjid in the locality. When you arrive in the locality, you can see, there's the mosque is there.
Subhanallah.
So that you go there.
I love that. I love the reason for that.
Yeah.
And now we have Google Maps, local mosque, and so we can identify the masjids. Maybe losing the symbol of Islam, like a public expression of Islam through the building, is something that is lost. But other than that, like it's Muslims also need to be like a little bit chilled out about it as well. We don't need to sell our Islam or Imam comes out and talks nonsense and says that I'm going against the niqab, voting against the niqab because this emancipation of women. What kind of Imam are you, man? Like, where'd you learn your deen from? So this is just to suck up to.
It is Switzerland. I bet you've got
to suck up to Westerners and non-Muslims, and they're not stupid. They know that you're sucking up. Like you're a sellout. You're a sellout Muslim. Allah protect us from that. But anyway. We'll call it a night, inshallah.
Just end it with that.
I know. That wasn't even a mic drop. That was like the whole studio drop moment.
Inshallah. Right. Let's finish with that.
Right. On that note, thank you for joining us. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon, and leave anything in the comments section. I swear if we don't get comments this week after this week's podcast.
Give us a comment, guys.
I don't know. After this week's podcast, there's got to be something.
Yeah, say something. Tell us like what to talk about. Comment, say hello. Leave us a comment, basically.
Tell us where you want me to go camping next. I'm ready to try it out. Anything.
Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.